Welcome back. This is Kivumbi2017 here on KTN News, away from national politics. And let's now focus on some devolution. And of course, the governors, the 47 men and women that have been running the county governments for the last 1 month or so, have been busy trying, of course, to get their administrations running. Some of them have been quite busy. Some of them have been criticized for cracking the whip a bit too harshly. In studio with me, I have with me the governor of the county of Tharaka Nithi, Muthomi Njuki, to just take us through what has been happening. Thank you, Bona Governor, for joining us tonight.
Good evening.
It's been, what, a month now? Almost a month?
Almost a month, short maybe 6 days.
How have the first days been for you?
Well, I would say it's, first of all, before I say how it's been, let me thank the people of Tharaka Nithi County. It's the first time I'm going to KTN studio since I was elected, and I want to take this opportunity to thank them for giving me the opportunity to serve them. Of course, having come from a background where I was legislating in Parliament, it is totally different, because this one, you do not implement policies that have been formulated somewhere else. You make your own policies and implement them. And there's so much on your shoulders, because everybody's looking up to you on what you can be able to deliver in all sectors across the board. Right. It's just a small government. We say one country and 47 governments, of course, including the national government.
All right. What are some of the challenges? Maybe you could say a bit too early, of course. But what is your feel and what is your view for Tharaka Nithi for the next 5 years?
One of the riders that we did use when we are running for the government, for the county governments, is to be able to bridge the gap between what was happening between the county governments and the national government. You realize there was a very big drift that was developing between the county and the national government, where the county governments had become almost like the official position in this government, where you used to see press conferences every day. With governors blaming the government on one thing or another. We came on a rider to be able to bridge that gap and have a seamless government whereby we complement each other. And I want to say one of the biggest challenges is being able to form a government from the scratch, because when you come to a government that has been formed by another governor, of course we don't expect you to make all changes when you come to the office. But of course there are those almost obvious ones that when you come in, you have to have your own
team.
Not the whole team really, because we have those we call the civil servants who are permanent and pensionable, but we have those people on contract who work around your office, your personal assistant, your chief of staff, your legal advisor, and economic advisor. We also have political advisor, and all that team. And it's not been very easy to put the team together. Currently, we're recruiting the CEOs, who are the chief officers, the CECs, to be able to put a cabinet in place for you to be able to run your own program. Of course, we've had to have a transition period whereby we are exiting the annual development plan for the previous governors, and of course we have the strategic plan for the county, which you need to formulate your own to align it with the manifesto that you did use when you're campaigning.
Yes.
Marrying those two on somebody else's budget. Remember, we are coming in at a time when the budget already made, because the previous county government, the outgoing governor, already had the budget passed by the previous county assembly.
Yes.
This budget did not have in mind my vision. It did not have with my people, because we came in on a platform of change. Yeah. So you find that the way he's made the budget it's in such a way that you're not able really to achieve what you want to do
in that, especially.
And people may not understand these first few days that you're implementing somebody else's budget. However, the county assembly is coming in, and we can be able to do a little change in terms of supplementary budget. But the law is there. You cannot change more than 25%, which is one of the biggest challenges with most governors who have just come in and never made the budget.
All right. Yes. Some governors have been quite busy, yourself included. In the first day, I believe you suspended, not fired, more than 1,000 workers in the county of Tharaka Nithi. I don't know if that is factual. If you can just fill us in on what...
Yes and no.
All right.
Yes and no, in that the people are suspended when I initially came in are cashiers who had been kind of had a misuse policy. Because the cashiers are supposed to work for only 3 months and then take a break. We had cashiers here who had worked over 2 years. I don't know whether they used to have a break in between. And then the system had been abused such that we had cashiers that did not have definite jobs, and we had cashiers that were existing on paper but not on the ground. And we had a very big disparity between what the County Public Service Board have in record as the county workforce in terms of cashiers.
All right.
About 220, and then we had 660. There was a big difference of about 460, which really we could not be able to account for. And we had a few people who, I'm sure you've heard about them.
Yes, of course.
Ghost workers.
Yes.
You know, you may think that ghost workers don't exist, but my friend,
It's
ghost
real.
workers exist. Not just in Tarakaniti County where they existed. Very many other governors I've talked to are those kind of challenges where you find people only on the payroll, where the rubber meets the road,
Right.
where the money is exchanged. But there are no workstations, no work. And it's a reality up to today, where we are dealing with people you see around the villages doing politics. When you go to the payroll, you find this one is registered as a medical support staff. Some even are masquerade as nurses and pretend to be serving people in dispensary and hospital, which is very dangerous.
How big of a problem is this labor force thing in the counties?
I want to imagine that it was just a misconception by the governors. That the ones who have done that kind of shady job, that you can actually reward your supporters and your cronies who supported you by giving them jobs. Because they have this notion that we have very many jobs at the county lined up there. Because everybody you meet even today, they tell you, I have a daughter, I have a son, and they have done this and that. But you see, job opportunities at the county is not rubber, which you just stretch because you've just come in. There are people in place. And we have something called basic assessment for need in a department. If the need is not there, you do not have to employ. But there are situations whereby you employ just because you want to please your friend or your supporters.
Right.
And that is a very big strain on taxpayers' money.
All
because
right.
it's someone who normally pay
Yes,
his
indeed.
salaries using the taxes.
Now, one of the issues that you've come in and found as governors, the second batch of governors, is the issue of nurses on strike, and that is affecting almost all the county governments. How bad is the situation?
I want to agree, Kitili, that is the elephant in the room. It's a monstrous problem, which would have been solved. We never had this standoff between the Council of Governors and the nurses. Because basically the problem is on a collective bargaining agreement, which has got most of the issues that may have been agreed upon. Uniform allowance. The nurses do not want to be given a uniform like school children. They want to be able to be given money and buy their own uniform, or the quality that you want and the color that is meant for their work, what is easy for them. Because somebody may want to buy cotton, which they can afford. Others want to buy linen buy polyester.
Yes.
Because depending on your pocket, as long as you get the design right and the color right. But some counties felt that they can get an opportunity to be able to procure this uniform for their workers and give them, which was a big problem. And that money is not much, by the way. They're asking only 50,000 per year to be able to buy a uniform. You spread that across the month, it's negligible. Then we had something that they have asked for quite some time, because it used to be there in another form, and then it was scrapped, a risk allowance. Because you see the kind of job nurses do is sometimes risky, because you may get infection when you are working in the environment that they work in. So a risk allowance of about 10,000 per month really is not much compared to the jobs that they do. That is almost agreed upon. The issue of the SRC bringing down the entry level for the nurses,
The new structure.
that is what is really the big problem, which has not been agreed upon. But we almost came to an agreement last week. But then our chairman of Council of Governors, I'm not blaming him, because when this strike has been prolonged and we have dispensaries closed, we have no health care being given, after agreeing that 8th of August was the date that these people should go back, he just went and issued an ultimatum and said, let's sack everybody. When we're just almost agreeing. So I'm saying,
So what's the way forward?
the chest
Mr. Governor?
thumping
Yes.
between the union and the Council of Governors is not doing good to the mwananchi who wants to be given good health care.
Right.
We need to tone down and agree, not to disagree, but for the sake of the mwananchi, to end this strike so that we can actually get on with the service to the people. And the other small problem, which I find that nurses may not agree with me on this, we have a union that is covering the whole country and covering nurses. However, this union is serving people with different employers, different terms. And therefore, I find it very hard for the union to be able to issue a common ground for different nurses in different counties, because they are different employers. They must be a bit easy on them, because there are people who want to really serve, but the pressure is being given by the union.
All right. My final question to you, Mr. Governor, and it's something the people of Tharaka Nithi want to know. The first batch of governors did struggle with balancing between recurrent expenditure and the budget they have for development. What is your plan for this?
I can tell you that things have really changed. Initially, when the other governors came in, there was a bit of free hand in how they can be able to balance the recurrent expenditure and the development expenditure. Right. You know that for any successful business, and even any organization, if you surpass the threshold of 30% on recurrent expenditure and 70% development, you are running into a risk of having a very unsuccessful organization. Currently, most counties, including the one of Tharaka Nithi, we at Tharaka Nithi is at 70% recurrent expenditure vis-a-vis the development, which is only 30%. And people expect so much. And that is why we want to cut on the wage bill, including having to declare redundancy and even negotiating. Because yes, you've been employed, but you come and spend the whole day on your desk, there's no work for you. You come and spend the whole day on a stage, there's no work for you, and you want to keep on being paid. It's better you are retrenched, and then we develop the county so that you can be able to create jobs by creating opportunities. So that is a very big problem. And right now it's been controlled, because even the way the money is dispersed from the treasury, there is money set aside for development, there's one set aside for recurring expenditure, which is normally boosted by revenue that we collect. And that is another area where governors have been losing a lot of money, because they do not have a grip on the revenue collectors, or rather the revenue department. People are taking money to their pockets, which is a big problem. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And that is why I want to automate revenue collection in Tharaka Nithi.
All right, sorry. Yes. We'll look for more time for a much longer conversation. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Governor for the county of Tharaka Nithi, Muthomi Njuki, just talking to us about what his first month in office has been like in the county of Tharaka Nithi. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Also, we'll leave it on Kivumbi2017 tonight, and be sure to join us every day from Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. here on Kivumbi2017, as we take a look at different political and governance issues, what's happening in the counties as well as the national, in the run-up to the presidential poll repeat election on the 17th of October. I'm Ben Kitili. Thanks for watching. See you at the top of the hour on KTN Prime.